Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham. Natalie says hi, she's behind the scenes with a program that looks at Israel. We look at the news and we'll look behind the news. And from our studios in Jerusalem, we're coming to you today. And this is from the Jerusalem Post, if I can get that on the camera. It says, a World Council of Churches exposed as biased anti-Israeli group report. This is from the Jerusalem Post. We've also got, I've got also United with Israel. It says espionage and threats to IDF soldiers. That's from United with Israel. And it's also got the Jewish Press says complaint filed against World Council of Churches for espionage, illegal entry into Israel, threat to IDF soldiers. Breaking Israel news, pilgrims in disguise, anti-Israel tourism. This is from Breaking Israel News. Jerusalem police complaint charges World Council of Churches with international espionage. And the Jerusalem Post says the World Council of Churches is reporting spent years gathering information on Israeli army operations with activists masquerading as tourists. The World Council of Churches sent foreign nationals to pose as tourists to gather information about IDF operations and training in Jerusalem and Hebron, according to reports. And in the studio today, we're very pleased to welcome Amit Barak. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
Thank you for the invitation.
Really appreciate you coming across to the studio today to talk about what you know about this particular issue reported in the Jerusalem Post. Amit Barak was born in Israel. He's the VIP Tours Coordinator for the Samaria Regional Council confronting BDS and anti-Semitism. He also documents and researches the activities of anti-Israeli Christian organizations in Israel. He's an expert on Jewish-Christian relations and is a pioneer of the historic movement to integrate Israeli Christians into the IDF and Israeli society. He's a reservist in the Israeli army and writes for Breaking Israel News. Has been featured on Fox Business News and in Israel National News, the Jerusalem Post and Israel Today. So we really appreciate you coming and telling us about this important story. First of all, a lot of our viewers, Amit, will be very confused because they're Christian Zionists or they're Jewish people who support the land of Israel. So they'll be very confused that there are even Christians coming into Israel who are anti-Israel. And so maybe you can tell us, how did you get involved in this and the background to the story?
So I began to work with Christians 7 years ago, with Israeli Arabic speaking Christians. And through that, I also got to know some anti-Israel organizations that works in Israel and against Israel, because in my activities with Israeli Christians, we also did many public diplomacy activities to support Israel. And we discovered the other side in the Christian world. Those who works to criticize Israel and to spread the anti-Semitism and propaganda and lies against Israel.
And I think they turned up at your house even. This is absolutely amazing. That one, I think it was a Saturday, the Shabbat, because that's the day when the Jewish people rest, and suddenly you've got all these people outside your house.
So I had some background about it, but one Shabbat, I live in Gush Etzion in a small community. One Shabbat, my wife called me and she told me, look at the window in the kitchen. And I was looking over the window and I saw someone standing in front of our house about 150 meters. There is a small hill and holding something in his hand. And well, it's Shabbat. People are not working in public in our community. They can do it if private if they want. It's a mixed community, but not in public.
And I just want to explain that in Israel on Shabbat, everything stops. And not only does everything stop, so public transport, cars driving, etc., but not only does everything stop, but people don't normally walk far. They go to the synagogue or they visit friends for a meal, but they don't go far, do they? So it's unusual to see people around.
It's unusual, and it was during the time of the synagogue when
Right,
people are observing. And then I ran out to the hill, and while I was running, a vehicle of the army arrived, vehicle of the police arrived. I got to the area, and I saw some Israeli radical left activists, which I know. I saw Palestinians, and I saw EAPPI activists with their vest. They are wearing a vest with the logo written EAPPI. It's and the logo of the bird they have on it. And I saw them before, but it was the first time that I actually met them face to face, 100 meters from my yard, from my home, during Shabbat. And they did it again and again for 5 weeks, every Shabbat, 5 times.
Right. Now, the vest they wear, I was thinking about this, actually are either for journalists. They're very convenient because they have their pens and whatever, and they're typical journalist's vest, or they're for tour guides. They're very typical in Israel. We see these vests, but so it's strange.
Or for a humanitarian aid organization that are
You're
recognized by Israel. And then we began to research who are they really, me and some friends. And we found out that this program, Ecumenical Accompaniment Program in Palestine and Israel, the EAPPI, belongs to the World Council of Churches. And it's active in Israel since 2002. Every 3 months, a group of 25, 30 activists entering Israel. And why every 3 months? Because tourist visa is only for 3 months. They are unauthorized organizations. They are not recognized by Israel as other humanitarian aid organizations. So they have to change the group every 3 months.
Right. And I think they even advertise that on their website, that you can't, that the maximum you can come to Israel is for 3 months. Yes. But they come here and arrive at Ben Gurion not declaring anything.
They're not declaring anything, and if someone is questioning them, in Ben Gurion, I suppose, but also on the ground. I did it a few times 2 weeks ago, and you ask them, who are you, what are you? So you get several answers. They will say that they are tourists, or pilgrims, or human rights activists, or peacemakers. You get several answers. And the idea of wearing this vest is that they look very formal.
Right. They look like they have authority.
They look like they have authority.
Right.
And it's amazing, because when we began to make the research, we had several meetings with Israeli IDF officers, with police officers. We asked them, do you know the guys with the vest? And the answers we got from Israeli officials is, yes, of course we know. Aren't they journalists? Aren't they humanitarian aid representative?
Yeah, I think, you're going to be asking, why on earth are Christians who should be supporting Israel for all sorts of reasons? It's a surprise to you, I know. Why on earth are these Christians coming illegally, secretly into, they're told to do that. Never mind, it's not their idea. They're actually told that they can't tell who they're going to work for. Isn't this unbelievable in a way that these people are coming a specific? And the other question I wanted to ask you was that I've heard reports separately of these people coming and being quite abusive to people, shouting and being abusive. Is that what you found, or what are they actually doing when
they are promoting propaganda against Israel, against the IDF? That's what they are doing. And I think people also should ask themselves, what is the World Council for Churches doing?
Right.
And where its roots coming from? Who do they connect it to, or were connected in the past? To the KGB, to the Stasi?
Right.
The same idea are still running, but in a different way now. So now they're more focused here in Israel on the field and on promoting BDS, and sometimes they've been caught in really promoting anti-Semitism.
Right, so they like to film provocative situations, maybe out of context. They'll film the IDF trying to stop something happening, or there might be a conflict because somebody's trying to do something when they shouldn't, or planting something where they shouldn't be, or building something when... whatever the reason is, they film these things, and security incidents, I believe they film as well, when there's arrests of terrorists. They even go to the homes of terrorists, I was reading in your report. So
true.
this is very important, Amit, because a lot of people don't know about the organization. It's called the Ecumenical Accompaniment Program in Palestine and Israel. It's working with, as you say, the World Council of Churches. And a lot of people, you may be watching the program and you may be even going to a church who's supporting this. This is why it's so important for you to take action. You can take action today. As you're watching the program, you can get in touch with the people in charge in your church and ask them what is this organization doing. So this is very surprising that such a large organization as the World Council of Churches would support this thing going on. So how on earth do the organization work? Do they have a headquarters in the EAPPI, have a branch in Jerusalem or in Ramallah, or?
Well, they recruit their activists through the churches around the world, the churches that are, I assume, members or have other connection with the World Council of Churches. Not all the activists, the tourists that coming are Christians or believers or member of the churches.
Right.
You don't have to be.
Right. They could be just found out about the information,
yes.
or be from a left-wing organization and just seen the recruitment
Exactly.
of...
And in Israel, they have very close ties. They work together with Israeli leftist organizations, only with Israeli radical leftist organization, only with one side. And they have a headquarters in Israel. It's inside a yard of St. Anne Church in Jerusalem, in the Old City. St. Anne Church is under the French government.
Right, because there was the big fuss with, we had President Macron was in Israel, supposedly for the Holocaust memorial, and a lot of, we've talked about this on our last program, but there was a huge Holocaust memorial program at the Yad Vashem, and Macron came. But he went to St. Anne's Church, and there was a lot of fuss there. He was shouting, and what was all that about?
He didn't let the Israeli police officers who guarded him, they were part of the security forces who watched him. He didn't let them into the church, into the yard of the church.
So why wouldn't President Macron want Israeli security, or looking after him? They're responsible for his safety. Why wouldn't they want him around?
Well, I'm not sure if he knows, personally, but his advisor probably knows, and the French government knows what they hide inside.
Oh, okay.
When you get into the church, when you get into the yard, you can enter as a tourist. It's a very beautiful church, very beautiful archaeology site. But inside there is another part surrounded with wall. If you pass the wall, someone will take you out.
Oh, wow.
Because inside this yard you have the building of the offices where you can find the office of the headquarters of EAPPI. You have diplomatic cars over there. So obviously it's a property that under France, under the French government.
Right. So if you're from France, you can write and complain to your government about this. This is unbelievable. So these people are arriving illegally into Israel. Then they go off secretly to this place which nobody knows what's going on because it's part of diplomatic protection.
Exactly.
And then they reappear next to checkpoints with the vests suddenly. And what you need to understand really is that the checkpoints are really quite dangerous. You never know who's going to, for the IDF, they don't know if someone has a bomb, someone has a knife, maybe a knife, but these are very serious situations. Someone who has a knife can suddenly produce the knife. Meanwhile, they've got to cope with these people with vests who are taking photographs.
They're taking photographs of the IDF and Israeli security forces in checkpoints. And next to schools, there are some schools in main roads in Judea and Samaria where the pupils are throwing stones from these schools over Israeli cars. So they stand there And sometimes when the pupils are throwing stones, the IDF soldiers react. They are chasing the pupils. So then they take out the cameras, and what do they show? They will not show you both sides.
Right.
How it began. They will show only an IDF soldier running after some poor pupil just because he wants to catch him.
Right.
And they show only one side, and they also document IDF trainings, not in checkpoints, not any military activity, let's say with the Palestinians on the ground, with the Palestinian civilians. They document IDF training, and they count how many soldiers and how many army vehicles. This is, all of it is illegal.
Right.
All
Which
of
is
it.
illegal in any country. To film somebody else's military, whichever country in the world you're in. If you start filming outside a base, that's it. That's illegal because it's a restricted area, a restricted operation. So this is something definitely you need to. I know a lot of you are watching today are Israeli activists who want to help. This is something you can get involved in. You say, sometimes I want to do something, Martin, I want to be involved. Well, this is something today you can be involved in. You can get in touch. Maybe it's with the church in your area, or maybe you're even part of a church that's supporting the EAPPI, and you can explain that what they're doing is wrong. They're coming in illegally into Israel, and so let people know. This is so important that people know. And is there a place they can get further information, Amit? There's materials on the web if they want to find out more from you?
They can read the articles. They can find more information in the articles. There is a website of NGO Monitor where they can get much information about the World Council of Churches.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add that they are also working in Jerusalem, in the old city of Jerusalem. And I have photos and videos of them active in the Western Wall, Wailing Wall, standing next to the gates, next to the security guards, and monitoring the security guards of the Western Wall. I think this is something which is unrespect. They not respect the holy places.
And it can be very dangerous because if you photograph someone who is a security guard at a security checkpoint and something happens, then suddenly that photograph, you shouldn't do that anyway, but as you say, it's disrespectful, but suddenly it could become very serious because the soldier or the border policeman will have family, will come from somewhere and could be threatened, or things could happen. His photograph could appear on the
We don't know where the materials that they document can reach to. We know that they write reports to the EU and to the UN, but who else? I have no idea. I don't know where do the photos of.
So it could go into the hands of terrorists.
Yeah,
as well.
maybe. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? They hide everything, so who knows?
Now, you're very involved with bridge building, as you said at the beginning, with the Christian community. How did you get involved with that?
This came out of my Zionist perspective. I grew up in Nazareth Elite, the Jewish town next to Nazareth. So I got to know Christians and Muslims and also Jews over the Galilee. I had friends. And I believe that if someone wants to be part of the Israeli society, equal part of the Israeli society, it's my duty to help him.
Now, you also, as well as building bridges with the Christian community, you helped with the enlistment of Christian Arab soldiers into the Israeli army. And we've got a quick video with an Israeli Arab lady who explains why she joined the IDF and a bit about it. So have a look at this.
בלילה הראשונה בצבא כמעט ולא דיברתי, כי פחדתי שאנשים שאיתי לא יקבלו אותי, אבל ביום שני שפגשתי את החברים שלי בחדר וסיפרתי להם על עצמי, הם קיבלו אותי בצורה שאני לא אשכח בחיים. אני עדיל, בת 21, נוצרה ישראלית. אני גדלתי בכפר מעורב, שבו גם נמצאים נוצרים, מוסלמים ודרוזים בצפון ישראל. בכיתה י' התחלתי להסתכל יותר על הארץ ואיך האנשים חיים בארץ, ושם ראיתי את החשיבות לשרת במדינה שהיא מהגנת עליי, על המשפחה שלי, ונותנת לי את כל הזכויות שלי, ושם הרגשתי שהמחויבות לעשות את מה שכולם עושים ולתת כמה שאפשר למדינה שלי.
Wow, that was very interesting. You know that people may not even know this. You know some people think who are watching today, and you might be surprised, Amit, that Israel is a Christian country, and why is it an issue for Christians to join the IDF? Not realizing it's a Jewish state. Israel is the Jewish state. We should make that clear, and that it's open, amazingly, for Christian Arabs and Christians from other. I think Ethiopians even have joined the IDF, so this is absolutely amazing. So wonderful work you're doing, and also as well as doing that, you're also working, I understand now, in the Old City to help Christian Arabs to learn Hebrew. Why is that? Why is that so important, and how's that going?
Yeah, so I began with the Christians in the north mostly, like the officer you saw, Hadil, and 2 years ago I decided that we should bring this change, historical change, also to the Christians in Jerusalem, which is a major challenge in Jerusalem because of the identity. There is a lot of pressure from the Palestinian side, and in the schools here, also public schools, but also the private schools of the churches, they don't teach them. In most of the schools, they don't teach them Hebrew, and if they teach, the level is not high. So many Christians here in Jerusalem who were born here and are living here, they don't speak Hebrew, they don't speak the spoken language of the state of Israel. So, I mean, how can you move on with your life if you don't speak the language?
Because all the documents are in Hebrew. If you want to make a contract with somebody to do some work, or you want to buy a property or anything, it's amazing that they can survive without Hebrew.
Anything you want, if you want to go to university, you want to get a good job, you need to speak the spoken language. I have a friend here, Elias Zarina. He's a Greek Orthodox from the old city of Jerusalem. I met him a few years ago when Father Gabriel from Nazareth sent me to meet him in Jerusalem to try helping him something. And 2 years ago, we decided to take this challenge, to try bring this change to the Christians in Jerusalem. We had several meetings with Christian youth in order to ask them what do they need just to get closer to the Israeli society. The first thing we've heard in every meeting is Hebrew. We need Hebrew. We need to know Hebrew, or we need to improve Hebrew. So
isn't that not taught in their schools? I'm surprised.
So in Jerusalem, no.
Wow.
In Jerusalem, because of the politics and the agreement, the situation, after 1967, the Arabs, Muslims, and Arabic-speaking Christians in East Jerusalem, they studied by the Jordanian curriculum. And today they study by the Palestinian Authority's curriculum, which is even worse. And in the private school of the churches, they teach them several languages. Depends which church the school belongs to.
Right.
But Hebrew is not in a priority. And it's all politics, but it harms the people.
Yeah.
It harms the people.
And I think that maybe I ought to explain that a bit, Amit. You know, that what happened was that Israel, the Israeli army started taking back land which was part of Israel, originally Greater Israel, and under the mandate and under the League of Nations in this area. And it was a Jordanian occupation, and so the Jordanians were occupying it. But it's an absolute amazing work that you're doing. And how's it going? How are the people enjoying to learn Hebrew? Are they?
So
how are you doing?
We founded an organization, Elias, me, and few other Jews and Christians, most of them from Jerusalem. We founded an organization. We named it Jerusalemites Initiative. And we teach them Hebrew. This is our main project now. We do also some other small programs. This is the main one. And they come, they teach Hebrew. They get it for free. They only need to buy the book. They get it for free. And they learn Hebrew and they also hear about Israel, because we are also bringing some lectures. We bring them different lectures about history, about modern society, about their rights in Israeli bureaucracy. So we also give them some other benefit besides knowing Hebrew.
So if people want to find out more about what you're doing, I think there's a website, Jerusalem Initiative. They can have a look at that.
We have a website and we have an active Facebook page. And basically what you saw today is I'm working according to Psalms 34. Turn from evil and do good. I'm doing good by helping Christians integrate into the Israeli society, and turn from evil by working against those who are trying to harm the bridges we are building.
Right, which is very important. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Fantastic to learn about your work preventing anti-Israel tourism, which is very important. You know, these people go back. They don't only just come and annoy the people in Israel, but they go back to their homes and they'll be spreading propaganda. So it's a very important work that Amit's doing, researching these, and you can find out more information on the web. The Jerusalem Initiative, fantastic work that you're doing, integrating Christian Arabs into the society of Israel. And I think this is something we'll have to do some more programs, because a lot of you are watching and saying, well, we never knew that there was even any kind of situation. But Israel has, because of its history with the Arab population, it's taking time for them to integrate. And remember, Israel's a young country. Well, thank you so much. It's been great to be with you. Don't forget, you can email us at info@israelfirst.org, especially if you want to ask questions about the program. We love to receive your emails. There's the website, www.israelfirst.org. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.